Welcome back. Today I'll be making savory Ukrainian pancakes with a pork and mushroom filling. Let's get started with the batter. Into a bowl, I'm going to crack 2 eggs. I'll add in some salt, some sugar, and a drizzle of oil. I'm not sure exactly what the oil is here for, but if it's anything like pizza dough, it'll make it more pliable and easier to stretch, which is something we'll want when we go to stuff these things. I'm going to beat that until it's smooth. Then I'll add in 300 grams of milk, which is a little bit over 300 milliliters. Then we can gradually whisk in 120 grams of flour. And I'm just using regular plain old all-purpose flour here. Next I'll add in a half a teaspoon of baking powder. This will give our pancakes a light and fluffy texture. Now we can set our batter aside and let it rest for about 20 minutes so those bubbles disappear. And in the meantime, we'll work on our filling. Here I've got 200 grams of mushrooms that I'm going to dice up. I'm going to cut off the stem, but you don't really have to. It just makes it easier for me to cut. Then I found the best way to dice these into even cubes is cut the cap in half like a hamburger bun, and then proceed with vertical cuts in both directions. I'm going to throw those into a pan, add a splash of water, and saute them until all that water disappears. It may sound strange to cook mushrooms in water like this, but what that'll do is cause them to soak up a bunch of water, so that when we go to add oil later, they don't suck up all the oil. And one of the beautiful things about mushrooms is they can't really burn, or at least it's very difficult to burn them. So I always like cooking them first, so we don't have to bother with a separate pan later. Once the water is absorbed, I'll add about 30 mils of oil. Now I'm going to dice up half an onion. And saute it until it's translucent. Next up, I'm going to add in some meat. Here I've got 300 grams of ground pork, but you could use chicken or beef and it'll turn out just fine. We want to cook that while breaking it up into little pieces so you get an even mixture of mushrooms, onions, and meat. I'm going to keep that going until the meat is cooked through, probably about 5 to 7 minutes. Then I'll season with some salt, a little bit of fresh cracked black pepper, some chopped up dill, and about 120 grams of cheese. I'm using a sheep's milk cheese that's slightly sharp but not too funky, but you could use anything from a manchego to a provolone, something that's melty but has a bit of flavor as well. Now we can remove that off to the side and get to making our pancakes. So I've got a crepe pan here. I recommend using a non-stick pan for this, because it'll probably save you some headache. I'm going to set the flame to medium-low, and I'll add a little bit of butter. You honestly don't need much grease for this, and if you add too much, the pancakes will end up sucking up a whole bunch of it. Either way, that first crepe is going to come out a little bit greasy, but the first pancake's never good anyway, so go ahead and add half a ladle of that batter to your pan. Swirl it around so every surface is coated. And once the edges start to dry out and look cooked, go ahead and do your best to flip it over. Now these are super forgiving pancakes, so if they get all folded up in the flip, go ahead and try and unfold them. It'll probably work. You can even shuffle them around with your hands to make sure that all the corners are in the right spots. Once you flip it, leave it for a couple seconds really. It doesn't really need to cook too much on the other side before we slide it off onto a plate. And don't be afraid to stack these up as you're going. They will not stick together. And once you're done making your pancakes, you can go ahead and fill them. Dole out a couple spoonfuls of that filling to the center of one of your Mlyntsi. Then we're going to roll this like a burrito. So channel your inner Chipotle artisan, fold in the sides, fold the bottom over the filling, and then roll it all the way up. And now these are ready to serve with a dollop of sour cream and some fresh dill. And these are such a good, comforting, easy meal. That filling of onions and mushrooms and meat is just super nostalgic and familiar to those of us who've had it in the past. The pancakes are slightly buttery, they've got a nice bounce to them, and the sour cream and dill just brightens everything up. So I hope you guys give this a try, especially as it's getting colder now. Try it with some other fillings, see what you like, let me know what you came up with, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.